seeing all of that is just crucial as you go through your life. I started out coming out of college with debt. Unfortunately, not student loan debt, but the credit card debt. Back then they used to just hand kids these credit card applications. Oh, just pay for it now, and it won't matter. So I had to go through. I mean, even as an accounting major, I still had to go through this myself and learn and grow. So to be able to start at any point in your life is beneficial. We're going to record this, so hopefully some people that aren't here. I did have quite a few people that reached out to me that wanted to be here and couldn't. So we will post it so that you can either go back and look at it or get your coworkers to look at it if they were not here. The other thing that I just want to remind you of is since you're all here, you will be entered into the drawing for the 1-year subscription to Financial Peace University, which is Dave Ramsey's program. It's 7-8 steps. He makes it super easy. Easy as in concept. Sometimes the decisions and actually implementing are not as easy, but they will be able to walk you through that. And I am going to volunteer. If you want, I will be your coach through that. I'm a certified financial peace coach, so I can meet one-on-one with you and we can go through the whole thing together. So just because you're here, you're now entered into that drawing. So I'm going to turn it over to Pete. He's with NFP. He is also the 401k guy. Most of you might have seen him before if you're new. He comes out usually once a year to talk 401k. Thankfully, he's here to also talk budgeting.
Budgeting. That's pretty awesome. So a year of financial peace just for being here today.
Absolutely. Well, drawing for a year, not
drawing.
Yes.
Drawing.
Yes.
So one lucky person.
1 or 2. Haven't decided how many. I wanted to see how many people showed up, and then we'll figure out how many.
That's awesome. We actually teach some of Dave Ramsey's stuff also at NFP, and so I teach a little bit on that even in non-Dave Ramsey classes. So good afternoon. How is everybody?
Good.
Awesome. And by the way, this is interactive. We're going to participate. If y'all don't, I'm going to get real bored. And y'all will be even more bored because we're talking about things that everybody's really excited to talk about. Money, right?
Yes.
Hey, all right, there you go. All right, we're also going to talk about retirement. Now, there's nobody in this room that's even close to old. So why are we talking about retirement?
Got a plan for it.
Got a plan for it. Plan ahead. So let me ask, what is retirement? I can hear a pin drop, and I'm not talking about bowling pins. What is it?
Not working.
Not working. I can make that happen like Amanda. So there's a definition of not working. What is retirement?
Living a good life.
Living a good life. I live a good life today, but I go to work.
Living a good life with money kept to plan.
All right. So I'm pushing a little bit back. Now, what is retirement? So to me, retirement is when I wake up in the morning and I choose what to do. All right? By the way, my simple definition, am retired today. Because I wake up every morning and I actually love what I do. I love working with Amanda, Stephanie, and all of you. I like helping people with money. Now, there's 4 things that people don't talk about in polite company. What are they?
Politics.
All right, that's 1. Religion, that's 2. You're doing good.
Money.
That's 3, and? That was 3, and? Come on. We don't talk about sex in public. All right? All right, so I know about one of those. Money. All right, I know about money. I went to a Baptist school, so I also know a little bit about religion. So with money, why don't we talk about it? I don't want the person next to me to know how poor I am or how rich I am, right? However, last year USA Today said 65% of Americans struggle daily with financial concerns. Wall Street Journal said 70% of Americans cannot pay a $400 unexpected bill. All right, so let's put that into perspective. There's about 35, 40 people in here, right? That means that 5 of us are not worried about bills that come in. All right? So So it's okay. And hey, I was in that position. I got the credit cards in college, and it was like, oh, sweet. I'm gonna go to dinner on Friday, right? I don't have to pay for this today. I can pay for it tomorrow, right? Well, I want you to live like the 35% of Americans that aren't worried about it. So how do we get there? Let's go back to the question, what is retirement? And to you, I want you to think about what is retirement to me. So let me ask you, who's the oldest person you know? Not everybody at once.
My dad.
Your dad. How old's your dad? 63. That's the oldest person you know?
Yeah, my grandparents are deceased.
It doesn't have to be related to you.
We got a couple residents out of the Rochester that I think are what, like 90?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got some 90-year-old residents. Anybody know anybody older than 90?
My grandpa's
98. Good health? Very good health. All right, anybody got anybody?
Oh, not older than that. My grandma's
94?
She's 91.
91? Hey, that's pretty. Hey, that's a good life. Are they all retired?
She still smiles.
Skydives?
She does. Oh my gosh.
My aunt jumped out of a plane at 65. I was like, good for you. My great aunt lived to 104. All right, so why am I talking about the oldest person you know? I want you to put yourself into their shoes, okay? So put yourself into your granddad's shoes. Now, he's active. I'm going to pick on you because you're in the back of the room. And your name? Brett. All right, Brett. Is it okay if I pick on you? Okay. Because I'm going to anyway. That's the thing. So, Brett, your 98-year-old grandfather, does he live by himself?
Yes.
Are you okay with him changing this light bulb? Getting up on the table and changing this light bulb? No, not a good thing? Why is that? Don't want him to fall. 91-year-old grandmother, you're okay with that?
No, but she does it anyway.
She does it anyway. And you're mad when she does it, right? All right, so think about this. When you're 90, who's going to change your light bulb? 60% of our household expenses when we get to, if you will, 65, 70, 80 years old are for things that we used to do ourselves. Because today, hey, I'm going to go get the step ladder and change the light bulb, right? Not a big deal. However, when I'm 95 years old, 98 years old, 91 years old, I don't want my grandmother doing that, right? I don't want my parents doing that. Why? Because they're going to slip and fall, they're going to break a hip, and then what happens? But it all goes downhill. So think about, hey, how am I going to get things done? Also, think about, hey, is your grandfather fairly active? Does he still drive? He goes to work every single day. That's pretty impressive. But you didn't answer the question. Does he still drive?
He does. He probably shouldn't, but he does.
All right, so probably shouldn't drive. So how are you going to get around when you're older? We had to take the keys from my grandmother when she was 89. That was not a fun conversation. I mean, think about it. You've got a 16-year-old daughter. Is she driving yet?
Yep.
What do we want to do when we're 16? We live to drive, right? Hey, it's freedom. What happens when we take the keys from our parents or from our grandparents? You're taking away my freedom. So how are you going to get around? Now, women, you guys, ladies have it easy, right? You're very social. You're outgoing. You have a social network outside of work. Guys, we're horrible. Our social network is our work, right? When women retire, they continue to have social outings. They continue to do things. Guys either sit on the couch. That's what my dad did. He retired, and I was like, Dad, what are you doing? He goes, well, made me get up off the couch. I was relaxing. Well, what were you doing prior to relaxing? Well, I was relaxing. What were you doing prior to that, Dad? Well, I was reading. How about prior to that? I was taking a nap. And I was like, this is the guy that was the workaholic that retired early. And now, his social network his work went away. And that's guys. So think about, what does your retirement look like? Now, if you're married, guess what? I'm going to give you some homework. You get to have this conversation with your spouse. Why am I asking you to do this? What's the number one thing couples fight about? Good, y'all are paying attention still. So couples fight about money, and also couples have a disagreement sometimes on, hey, what does our retirement look like? So you need to have the conversation to say, hey, honey, we had this guy come in, 401k guy come in, and he talked about old people, he talked about changing light bulbs, and hey, what is our retirement? What do you want to do in retirement? Now, does anybody have a will? All right, good. Now, have you changed your will ever? All right, guess what? Your retirement goal, your vision of retirement can change. But I want you all to think about and have the conversation of, what does our, if you're married, or what does my retirement look like? Who's got a cool retirement vision? Nobody? All right. Travel. Where are you going to travel?
Got a whole bucket list of places to go.
Where's the coolest place you're going to go?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. That's a pretty cool. That's a cool bucket list. And you, young lady?
Travel. I want to turn an old sprinter van into a house on wheels. Travel all across the United States, Canada.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. Now, are you both married?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not to each other, huh? That's not your wife, right? All right. Now, is your spouse on board with this?
Yes.
All right, good. So we've had the conversation. Hey, this is kind of our retirement vision. Now, why do you need to have this conversation when you're as young as you are? Because saving for retirement is the second most delayed gratification that you have in your life, depending on what your, again, religious belief is. Okay? That is an extreme delayed gratification. Who's the youngest in the room? Probably me. Who is that? You don't look a day over 22. Jenna? How young are you, if you don't mind? 25. You gotta be, are you like 18? You're also 25?
Yeah.
All right, so when I'm up here talking about retirement, Jenna, when I'm up here talking about retirement, you're going, what, this old guy's up here talking about retirement. By the way, I'm 47 years old. And, huh? Thank you. Thank you. I'll just say thank you. So, this old guy at 47, and I was 25 once. All of you raise your hand. We were 25 once, right? And then when I was 25, I was like, man, 30 is it's old, right? 35 is really old, right? You can go ahead and admit it. It's okay. And 40 was ancient, right? When I was 25, I was like, man, when I'm 45, you're like over the hill at 40. And now I'm 47. I have friends that are 80 years old. And I'm like, man, I've got a friend that's 76 years old in November. He goes to work every day like your grandfather. And he's a cool guy to hang out with. I'm like, man, I'm hanging out with a guy that's older than my dad, and I consider him a good friend. And I don't consider him old. It's amazing how as you get older, things change. But I will also say this to the 25-year-olds, and everybody agree with me who's a little bit older. Guess what? It comes quick. 25 to 47, I can remember. So I got out of grad school when I was 24 years old, and I'm driving to work, and I'm going, what am I doing? I can remember that day like it was yesterday. It was over 20 years ago, obviously. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. So it comes very quick. Guess what? It's easier to start young than wait till you're old at 40, right? All right, so how do we save money?
Not shopping.
Not shopping. So you have a vice of shopping.
I'm so guilty of it.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong, with shopping. Now, let me ask, no, only one person So how do we save money?
Pay yourself first.
Pay ourselves first. All right? Great answer. And by the way, when I ask a question, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. So how do we save money? Pay ourselves first, not shop. Any other way?
Have a budget.
Have a budget. Well, budget, that's a bad word. All right. So how much money do you make? Don't say it out loud, but how much money do you make? You got that number in your head? All right. Now, when do y'all get paid next?
Next Friday. Most of them next Friday.
Next Friday. All right, I get paid next Friday also. Now, can you tell me what your paycheck's going to be like next Friday within $100? I can. As a matter of fact, if it's not within that, hey, there's a problem. I got to go look at it, right? I can tell you within $100 what that deposit's going to be into my bank account. How much money did you spend the last 2 weeks?
Too much.
Too much? Anybody else?
Yes, a lot.
A lot?
Yeah, because it's my 25th anniversary is coming up. We went and bought a new ring.
Congratulations. How have you put up with your husband for 25 years? I'm at year 13, so I'm just asking.
He's a long distance truck driver. That's
Ah,
all. He's never home.
hey, congratulations. That's an awesome milestone. Anybody got more than 25 years? How long? 28. Congratulations. Where was I going with that? So the reason I asked you, number one, how much money that you make is because most Americans can say, hey, this is my paycheck. I know how much money I make every paycheck. Now, obviously, some of you might be servers or might be on a variable income, but you still have a pretty good idea of what your income is. But when I ask that second question, most people get the deer in the headlight and go, or the common answer is all of it, or most of it, or the true American says, well, I make 100 and I spend 125, right? And I don't understand how to save money because I'm spending $125 every time I make 100. So I've got one person taking notes, but I've got several people that have notebooks. So guess what? I'm going to give you some homework. This is a secret that I've learned. So when I was 39 years old, again, a long time away, but you can use this when you're 25. And you can use it when you're 16 for your daughter, or you can use it when you're my age at 47. I made the comment to my wife when I was 39. I said, you know what? We get paid fairly. Do all of you get paid fairly? Does anybody get overly paid? I tried. I tried. All right, so all of us get paid fairly. And I said, I was paid on a monthly basis at the time. And I said to my wife, I said, Jessica, where's our money? You know, and I quote my dad on this. My dad made the comment, I run out of money before I run out of days of the month. So I asked my wife, I said, where did our money go? You know, we're coming on the end of the month, and where did it go? How did we spend? We got this amount of money at the beginning of the month. Where is it? And so I started thinking about it and studying, and I read the Dave Ramsey stuff, and it's like, all right, let's make this simple. So every time I spend money, so I'll pull out my wallet, and if I pull out a credit card or if I pull out dollars, which, by the way, I don't carry money. And I'll tell you why. I spend money differently than my wife. I know women, you have a hard time believing that, right? That I spend money differently than my wife. My wife made the comment, I don't know where our money is. I don't spend any money. My wife would go use our debit card. She's like, I don't spend money. And I was like, explain all of this. And she asked the comment, she said, well, where's that $100 that I gave you Monday? It was like Thursday, and I couldn't tell her where that money was. Anybody been there? I have. So what I did is I said, I'm going to start writing down every time I pull out my wallet. If I go to lunch, I'm writing it down. I wrote down what I did, not hamburger, I lunch, how much it was. I leave a meeting, I go to Starbucks, How much is Starbucks coffee?
At least
$6 by the time you get the coffee and the little muffin next to it. Because it would always call my name and say, Pete, you're hungry. And I was doing that multiple times a week. Is $6 a lot of money? Y'all are going, come on, $6 is not a lot of money. We have all blown has anybody not blown $6? Blown $10. I mean, all of us have blown money, right? So $6 is not a lot of money. However, you got it. You're on the right path. $6 3 times a week is what? $18. $18 at age 39. If I would have put that into my 401k and earned 7% interest, is $125,000 at retirement. Is $125,000 a lot of money? I've talked to a lot of people when they are getting ready to retire, and the common question that they ask me, whether they have $20,000, $200,000, or the most that I've worked with is $20 million. But they have one common question, which is this enough? Even the guy with $20 million, I thought he was crazy, but his comment was, he was young, he was in a family business, and he was signing away if he took the 20, that he would never work again. And he said, is this enough to not work ever again in my life? And he had worked every day since he was 13 at that company. It was a family company. And he said, I'm giving it away. He said, I don't know if my grandfather who started this would be happy. Is this enough money to walk away from a family business? And hey, you can survive off of $20 million, but that's the second you're asking me other questions. But in the real world, $125,000 makes a significant difference to people that are retired. So remember that oldest person you know? Hey, what if we gave them an extra 50 grand? That significantly, for most people, changed their lifestyle, right? So when I went through and I talked to people, it's not my rent payment, it's not my mortgage, it's my $6 that blows my budget. So what I did was for 30 days, I wrote down everything, every time I spent $1. And then at the end of the month, I sat down with my wife and I said, here's my pad of every time I spent money. So I had an accountability partner. She showed me hers. And then I asked the question, what can I live without? I didn't say, look at this. Look how much money we spend shopping. Because that's not fair, right? Y'all are supposed to say yes. I mean, but she looked at hers and said, okay, what can I live without? And we've done that several times since 39. So we're now on our third time of doing that. It's amazing. My wife, we've noticed that anybody have a television? We noticed that we sign up for the deal, and all of a sudden we're paying twice what the deal was. And how did we get there? It's not all of a sudden the deal goes from X dollars a month to twice X. It's, they won't notice we increase it by $5 and $5 and $5. And all of a sudden I'm paying twice what I agreed to. My wife is really good about getting those things back down. She monitors that because she looks at, hey, here's what our expenses are on a daily basis. If you look at what your expenses are daily, then all of a sudden you don't spend as much. And I heard it earlier, actually yesterday, a guy made the comment, I've lost 100 pounds in the past 2 years, and I did it by writing down every time I ate. I was like, 100 pounds? And he said, 100 pounds. Well, I, at age 39, couldn't tell you where my money was for the past month, but at 47, I can say, hey, not only can I tell you, I can actually tell you for the last 5 months, every time I've spent money, because I track it. Now, I'm not as, if you will, anal about how I used to do it, but I'm still very, hey, this is where my money goes. This is how I'm spending money. And the reason for that is I've looked at very successful people, and what do? They look at their expenses and income all the time, and they're looking at it. Why? Because they have a common vision of where do they want to be. Gets back to that vision of, hey, what do I want to have happen? Where is my goal? So what is my retirement goal? How am I going to get there? And I'm get there by watching my expenses. I don't pay myself first if I don't have any money, right? So that's how we save money. Now, I've worked with people that are in debt. To quote Dave Ramsey, what's in your wallet? Cut the credit card. If you're in debt, and again, that's one of the 4 things we don't talk about money, but you have access to us. We're here to help, and if you will give you an idea. So how do we get out of debt? Not everybody at once.
Start paying off the smallest bills first.
Start paying the smallest bills first. I have a degree in finance. When I first listened to Dave Ramsey when he said pay the small bills first, I was like, that is wrong. The reason that is wrong, Dave, is you got to pay the highest interest rates first, and then you pay the lowest interest rates. But guess what? That's the book. Excuse me. The book says pay the highest interest rate first, and then pay the lowest interest rate, and then pay the lowest, the next one, and then pay the next one. But reality is we're all humans, right? And yet, when we're humans, we have emotion, right? And when we have emotion, what do we like to do? We like to win, right? Does everybody not like to win? Okay, y'all, come on. You can be back here. So when we pay off a debt, what happens? We won. We paid off a debt. So it feels great. So what do? We pay the smallest one off first. I was talking to a guy today, and he said, I've got and this was after yesterday's conversation. And he said, I've got a debt problem. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. So he started telling me his debts, and if you have, you're going to hear from me, and what else? And what else? And he said, well, I have a $300 credit card bill. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, let's talk about your assets. And he goes, well, I've got $7,000 in my checking account. I've got a $1,000 savings account. And I was like, well, wait a second. You've got $7,000 in your checking account? Why do you have a credit card debt? And he said, well, because I might need the money. And I said, I'm listening to what you spend. Your expenses are about $3,000 a month. You've got twice that in your checking account. First question is why do you have the credit card debt? Second question is why isn't more money in your savings account where it's earning more interest? And he said, well, I like it in my checking account. I said, how much interest is it getting? He said, none. I said, what's your savings account getting? He said, oh, a little over 1%. I said, that's pretty good. Why do you have all this money in your checking account? And he said, because it makes me feel good. And I said, how's that debt make you feel? And he said, doesn't it make you feel good? I said, let's start paying some of that off. And then I said, immediately you can pay off the $300 credit card debt. That's a sense of accomplishment, right? It gives us that win. And list it out, and then if you're married, you have the accountability partner to help you get there. There's a guy in my office that I work with, and David brings his lunch in a brown bag every day. And one day I was like, David, I know you're making pretty decent money. Why do you bring your lunch every day? You only go out and lunch on paycheck days. Why is that? And he said, I want to retire at 60. I want to live on a minimum of 20 acres. And to do that, I have to bring my lunch every day. He said, I'm never going to eat alone. And so that if I'm not having lunch with somebody, I am going to have lunch out of my turkey sandwich that I made at home. Now, turkey sandwich doesn't mean that you made it at home, you saved money, right? Because you still got to buy bread, turkey, mayo, and everything else, right? But if he does it every day, and he said, I figure I'm saving about $20 to $25 a week by doing this. And I said, oh, well, why? And he goes, I want to retire at 60. I want to live on a minimum of 20 acres. And then to do that, I have to bring my lunch every day. So he has a vision, and to do that, he's sacrificing. And that's how you can have anything you want if you're willing to sacrifice, right?
Right.
All right. So we've talked about how much money we make. We talked about how much money we save. We've also talked about how to get out of debt. Now, we didn't talk about, but we're going to get into how do we save enough for retirement. Now, how much is enough? Now, there could be the extravagant, hey, I'm going to travel the world, New Zealand, and da. Most financial planners say that on average, we need between 60 and 80% of our income today in retirement. Wait a second, I'm a true American, I live on 100% of my income. How am I going to get along on 60%? Well, let's talk about that. So today when I get a paycheck, who gets my money before I do? Government. How much is government taking out of my paycheck? A lot. Guess what? That's not going away. Taxes are going to be paid every day until the day you die. Your grandfather pays taxes, right? Your grandmother pays taxes, right? You pay taxes. But guess what I'm not going to pay when I don't work anymore? I'm not going to pay Social Security. I'm not going to have to pay, how much is Social Security? It's a FICA on your tax form, or on your paycheck, just so you know. First paycheck I got, I was like, who's this FICA person? And why are they taking so much money out of my paycheck, right? Well, FICA is 7%, all right? Guess what? That's gone. You don't have to pay that anymore when you retire. Well, to have a successful retirement, you need to be saving 10% minimum of your paycheck. So if you're doing that, and as you get closer to retirement, you should be doing even more. So now I'm at 17. So I haven't even paid off any debts yet, and I'm at 83%, right? My goal when I go into retirement is to not have a house mortgage anymore. Hey, I don't want to pay a mortgage when I'm retired, but I'm still going to have some expenses at my house. You know, Duke Energy's still going to want money every month because I like it comfortable. In the winter, I want it warm. In the summer, I want it cool. I want the lights on. So Duke Energy's still going to have money. But I'm not going to have to pay Bank of America anymore to have the privilege of living in my house, right? But I'm still going to have maintenance costs. So there's going to be, depending on who you are, between 15 to 30% additional dollars. So that's how we get to that 60 to 80 number. And you could be even more aggressive and say down to into the 50s, depending on who you are. So what did I just say? If anybody here heard it, I need to save how much money for retirement? 10%. Minimum. Now, how do we get there? Because 10% is a big number. Is anybody in here a runner? Nobody? Former runner? Former runner? Who's a former runner? Former runner? Long distance? All right, any former long distance runners? Cross country, how far did you run? For practice. 6 miles? Was it easy? Sometimes. So did you do it, I mean, and I'm asking this, did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to go run 10 miles? No? The coach said, hey, we're going to go run a mile, right? Or we're going to go run 2 miles. And the next thing it was, well, next week we're going to run 3 miles. Guess what? After a while, you're running 6 miles. I've got a friend who, on an annual basis, does an Ironman. All right? I couldn't fathom this. He, on a daily basis, goes out and says, yeah, I'm going to run 5 to 10 miles. And doesn't even think about it. I couldn't fathom that. But one day, he just, hey, this is what I'm going to do. How did he do it? He started small. It's the same thing with savings. Save in your 401k, pay yourself first 1%, save 2%, save 3%, and then Does everybody have one of these?
Of course.
All right. So then what I want you to do is put yourself, today is on August the 1st, correct? So what is 6 months from now? February the 1st. What I want you to do is, I want you to put down February the 1st, increase 401k contribution. Now if you're a rock star, you can go ahead and say December 28th, I want to do it for January 1st, because that's going to be my New Year's resolution. But I want you to go ahead and do that and have it as a reoccurring. We'll see if the auto box works. I want
Not to interrupt, you can go ahead into John Hancock and set it up now
hey,
for years to come, and Stephanie can go ahead and set it up so that in payroll, we got people that are scheduled 5 years out.
Yes, sir.
With incremental increases.
When we go in, John Hancock, and change our percentage amount, is that effective immediately on the next pay period?
It should be, yes.
If your paycheck's tomorrow and you do it right now, no. But it would be
the week before.
it would be, if payroll is not processed, it most likely will be the next paycheck.
Or you can bill in a different date. So when Stephanie looks at it, you can see the date that you want the change and then what the change is to be.
But there's not a limited number of times you can.
Nope, not at all.
So there's automatic feature of automatically, so go John Hancock. And why is that? You don't have to think about it. Also, there's been a lot of studies done on us as humans. Excuse me. And us as humans, we're going to have a lunch next week. Y'all have a choice. You're going to sign up for, we can have burgers, pizza, French fries, or we can have salad, kale salad, no dressing. 65% of you are going to sign up for the kale salad. When we go through the line and the kale salad's there, and then the pizza's next, and the hot dogs are out, and the hamburgers and fries are after that, 70% of us are going to skip the salad or take just a little salad, right? So why is that? Even though we said we wanted to do this, we don't do it. So that's, you go onto the John Hancock site and make it automatic. Say, I want to increase my contribution every 6 months. Why do I say 6 months? Has there anybody ever gotten a raise? Y'all should all be raising your hands.
Everybody's looking.
I didn't say have you gotten a raise in the past week. I said have you ever gotten a raise? All right, I mowed lawns for $20 when I was in high school. I make a little bit more than that today. All right? All right, so we've all gotten a raise. What happened?
You spend it real quick.
All of a sudden, I didn't realize that I was like, wait a second, I was making this, now I'm making that. What happened? I got used to it. You get used to an increase in your paycheck in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And all of a sudden, it goes back to the question that I asked my wife. What happened to our money? Where did it go? Guess what? If you have a decrease in your salary or you start saving more money, you get used to that in 6 months. That's why I say do it every 6 months. Now, should you put all of your money in your 401k? No. You have a strange, the 401k guys saying don't put all your money in the 401k. You need an emergency money. How much money do you need as an emergency money? By the way, there's no wrong answer here. 3 months. 3 months. And Amanda knows this and Stephanie knows this. My wife got sick 2 years ago. We at the time had the blessing of having 6 months of money set aside. And she wasn't able to work for 2 months. And I had to go to many doctor's appointments. She's now fine, and we're building back up our savings account, but it was nice to be able to, when the doctor said, hey, this is $5,000, and it was, okay, I have the money. But today, I've got 3 months and I'm working on 4. Now, what happens when I get to 4 months?
Go to 5.
No, I go out and celebrate. It's hard to have 4 months of saving or of spending on the side, right? It's hard to have 3 months of savings on the side, right? Life is short. Celebrate small steps. Now, I'm not going to New Zealand when I get to 4 months. I'm going to go out to a nice dinner. I might go to the beach for a long weekend. So what you do is you say, okay, I need to have, depending on where you are, I need a minimum of $1,000. You need a minimum of $1,000 in your savings account. Why is that? I have not had anybody give me yet a problem that I can't solve with $1,000. Now, I'm not going to solve a lot of problems, but I can put a dent into most problems. My mother-in-law made a comment one day, and I said, hey, if I were to give you $1,000, would that solve the problem? And she goes, yeah. She doesn't have that problem anymore. $1,000 can solve a lot of problems. I mean, think about it. If your transmission goes out on your car, you can fix it with $1,000. You can buy 4 new tires for $1,000. You can do a lot with $1,000, right? So a minimum of $1,000. Then after you get that, you start working on your debt, if you have any. Then you say, okay, my goal is 1 month of spending. How do we know how much we need for a month? We wrote it down to 30 days. Then what we do is when we get to that 1 month, actually when you get to the 1,000, have a small celebration. Now it needs to be a small celebration. It can't be $1,000, but it's a small celebration. But what do? So I told my wife, I said, I had a goal. I wanted a new television. I said, my neighbor got this 50-inch flat screen TV. I said, I don't need 50 inch, but I want a 45, razor thin. I want that. And she said, okay, you can have that when we get to 3 months worth of savings. And I was like, all right. And how much is that TV? It's about $800. And she said, you can get there when we get to the 3 months and you have $800. Guess what happened? Now, in my prior life, I would have gone down to Best Buy and I would have pulled out my credit card and I would have said, buy it, right? All of a sudden, I said, oh, I worked really hard for this 3 months. And then I worked really hard for my $800. And I said, you know what? I don't want that TV anymore. I still got the old TV that worked it's still a flat screen. It comes on. It shows pretty neat picture. Now, if I were to look at it next to my neighbor's, it's not as good as his, but you know what? He might be in debt. He might be in debt up to his eyeballs or higher, right? Because what? It's all flash, right? Live like the 30%. It's amazing. So once I started to do that, I want the small rewards. So a small reward might be, hey, I'm going to do a nice date night with my wife. It might be I'm going to do a long weekend or a day down to Atlanta. Do small rewards. But then when you hit milestones, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, if you say, hey, I want to have 12 months worth of, have a reward for that. Why? Because life, unfortunately, is also short. So you need to reward yourself along the way. All right? Then continue to increase your 401k contributions. And continue to be saving outside the 401k. I think the easiest way to save outside the 401k, and I don't know if payroll can do this, but can you send money to 2 different checking accounts? All right? Guess what? If you don't see it, it's hard to spend, right? So set up that X% of your paycheck goes into a savings account. X% of your paycheck goes into your 401k. Guess what? I don't feel it because I don't see it. When I used to move money from our checking account to our savings account every time I got paid, it was like, man, all of a sudden I wanted to spend that money. Emotionally, we want to spend it if we see it. But now that I have it automatic where my paycheck automatically goes to my savings account, I just, on a monthly basis when I'm balancing, I'm like, oh, look, I don't think about it. Because I'm not moving that money. It's automatically, it's paying myself first, to quote you at the beginning. So then we will all of a sudden, instead of building up debt, we're building up wealth. And we get to live like 30%. Now in our 401k, which is part of our job today, what do we need to be thinking about? Asset allocation. What is asset allocation?
Diversifying your portfolio so that you don't money you risk or put all your risk in one area.
Is managing our risk. Now, is everybody's risk the same? No. Is your risk just because you're female, just like every other female? No. Is your risk just because you're 25, does that make you aggressive? No. However, we do have for you what's called target date funds. Target date funds are what I call set it and forget it. They remove that emotion from me. And guess what? I've done this for 20 plus years. I have emotion when it comes to my money. I work hard for it, right? And when the market goes up, I feel great. When the market goes down, I feel bad. Come on, y'all need to pay attention. Now, which one is actually, market goes up, is that good or bad? Good? Market goes down, is that good or bad? I want to buy low and sell high. Does anybody, and I know a few of you are too young, but does anybody remember 2008? Hey, there's some people in here that might not remember 2008. They were alive, but you don't remember, right? I mean, I remember 1986. Anybody remember October 1986? That was a gloomy day in the stock market. Very gloomy. However, I would pay good money to be able to go back to October 86 and invest money. I would pay good money to go back to October to 2008 and invest money. Why is that? Market drop. Now, what happened? Now, is $10,000 a lot of money? Yes, it is, right? So $10,000 in 2007, I'm thinking, gosh, I'm doing well, right? I watched that 10,000 go down to 6,000. That's 4,000. I've almost lost 40% of what I put in, right? That's not fun, right? However, with the 401k, I'm continuing to put money in. It's 2019, correct? If I didn't touch that money, in other words, I didn't say, you know what, I can't stand it anymore, I'm going to go to cash. I'm going to just continue doing, I remember Pete, or whatever that guy, that 401k guy, I remember him saying, hey, we're investing for the long term, because one day I hope to be 91 years old or 98 years old. I'm investing for the long term. Even if I'm 65, I'm still investing for the long term, correct? Anybody know who Warren Buffett is? How old is Warren Buffett? How old? 87. Warren Buffett is interviewed every couple of months on CNBC. In March, he was interviewed at his annual conference, and he said, he was quoted, and I quoted, he said, I'm investing for the next 20 to 30 years. I don't care who he is or how much money he has. There is no way. I'll put money, every dime I have, but he will not make it 30 years. 20 maybe, but not 30. You know, he would be over 110 years old. It ain't gonna happen, right? But why is that important? He's investing for the next generation. He's always thinking long term. My grandmother, who taught me about this, owned Enron stock. Anybody know who Enron is? She had over $300,000 loss in Enron. And I looked at her like you're looking at me going, gosh, that's a lot of money. You know what her comment was to me? you're looking at me like I lost $300,000. And I, by God, you did. She said, I never had that money. She said, Enron stock was paying me a dividend of $20,000 or a little over $1,000 a month. I have to replace $1,000 a month, not $300,000. So it's your mentality of how you look at money. So what happened in 08? My $10,000 dropped to $6,000, and I continue on and I continue investing. And today in 2019, how much is my $10,000? Depending on how aggressive you are, somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. What if I would have gone to cash? I wouldn't be back up to $10,000 yet. So always be thinking long term. Buy low. When the stock market goes down, that's a good thing if we're buying. Sell high. That's how we make money in the stock market. Think long term. And then unfortunately, I said life is short a couple of times, right? All right, so what else do you need? I might need life insurance. Does anybody have children? Does anybody have a spouse that relies on your income? So unfortunately, and I know this because I'm in the industry, a woman under the age of 50, over the age of 30, who has 2 children, if the spouse passes away, 60% of the reason she gets remarried is for finances, not because of love. Do you want your spouse to have to get remarried? Have some life insurance to replace your income. If you have children, have some life insurance to replace your income. Does everybody have car insurance? All right, good. Why? Because if my car were to, if I were
You have to.
yeah, I have to. You have to have liability. You don't have to have you don't have to have replacement. Do you have how about fire insurance on my house?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because I can't replace it if it burns down. You should have insurance on your best asset, which is you. Right? If your spouse is a stay-at-home spouse and they're taking care of the kids, what happens if something happens to them? You're going to have a nanny. Nannies are expensive, right? So have some insurance. Also, have a will to say what happens to your money. And in the 401k, you need a beneficiary form. Now, I know life happens. What means is we get married, congratulations. We have children, congratulations. We also get divorced, and that's congratulations or I'm sorry, whichever is the appropriate answer. We also have death. So if your beneficiary form was filled out a couple of years ago and there's been something that's changed in your family situation, update your beneficiary form. Because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten the phone call, hey, so-and-so passed away, and his beneficiary form lists his ex-spouse. He's remarried and got some kids. Whose monies is that? And I was like, well, there's going to be a lawsuit, but his ex-spouse gets the money. It's actually a Supreme Court case. So update your beneficiary form. Now, can I leave money to somebody else? Yes. I have to have my spouse's permission to do that. I can leave money to whoever I so desire. So I can leave money to you if I want. Now my wife has to sign the beneficiary form in front of a notary public. Now today my church is actually my beneficiary. It's a good cause, right? If I wanted to name your favorite charity, what's your favorite charity? You don't have a favorite charity? How about the Boys and Girls Club? The Boys and Girls Club. That's a good cause, right? I'm changing my beneficiary to the Boys and Girls Club. My wife's signature needs to be on that beneficiary form. Okay? Or it doesn't go to that. She can claim it. There's plenty of reasons to name somebody other than your spouse. John Hancock or any other institution can give money to minor children. So if you have minor children, you need to have somebody to look after them, a trust to set up for them. All right? Questions? I've thrown a lot at you. And also, remember, money is one of those things that we don't talk about in public. So I'm available at any time. Both Amanda and Stephanie have my email address and my phone number. Our office is over in South Park. You're more than welcome to come over to our office. We can sit and have a conversation. We can have a conference call. But number one, live within your means. How do you do that? Understand how much money you make and then how much money you spend. Save for the what ifs in life. Hey, I need a new set of tires, I need a new transmission, I need a new roof on my house. Save for those things. Save in your retirement plan. Have a vision of what your retirement looks like. It can change. You might decide, you know what, I don't want to do an RV anymore. I want to do it in a Porsche. I had a guy that, my first boss, his goal when he retired, when he did it, he said, I'm buying a 5 Series BMW and I'm driving to every baseball stadium to watch a Major League Baseball game. That was his goal. And he did it. He spent the night down in hotel rooms. But he drove the country. That's kind of a bucket list item for me. I want to drive the country. I don't want to do it in an RV, no offense.
No, not an RV, a Sprinter van.
A what?
Sprinter van.
A Sprinter van, okay. Yeah, but that's your vision. There's nothing wrong with my vision. So have a vision, have a goal, because saving is delayed gratification. Again, I'm Pete, your 401k guy. I'm here to answer any questions y'all have, and I thank y'all very much for the opportunity. Any last questions? Because, by the way, your neighbor's thinking about it. Any questions?